Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bianca, and today I feel like I'd like to talk about something that is rather close to my heart. I'm a Gen Zer, which basically means I was born between the years 1997 and 2012. And not to say that this is 100% accurate depiction of what others my age or around my age might have been through, but from my personal experiences, I somehow came to notice that there are a lot of rather negative stereotypes associated with young adults, or more specifically, those falling under the millennials or Gen Z categories. Well, for me in particular, I have encountered statements regarding how young people nowadays are rather entitled, we are really hard to coach or teach, and our attention span is practically equivalent to a goldfish. Well, okay, they're not too wrong about that. Well, for me, I don't know, we're just ridiculously addicted to our phone screens or computer screens, or I don't know, for some of you maybe a digital watch, and we are generally really pessimistic about the future. So in today's video, I would just like to take the opportunity to just talk about why there is much more to us than these blanket statements of who we are, with also absolutely no intention to call out or roast anybody who may actually have such opinions about young adults these days. After all, our opinions and perspectives are really shaped by our past experiences, so I really can't blame anyone for having any certain opinions that counter against my own. What really motivated me to create this video instead is that I was aware that young people are starting to enter the workforce, myself included, and that means we'll most probably need to work with people across different generations. And as we all know, time does not stop for anyone. So this trend is only just going to continue for the rest of the young adults. That being said, since our personal values as well as common metrics that we all use to measure our lives may differ quite significantly across different generations, I suppose this might sometimes unintentionally cause awkward generation gaps or even some friction between the working relationships with our more senior colleagues. So I hope to cover some of the typical perspectives shared amongst young people today, with the hope that this could be a useful guiding point for anyone, regardless of whether you are actually a human resource professional, a manager, or even a working parent, to understand us better. At the end of the day, I do believe that learning between our senior and junior colleagues ought to be reciprocal. So let's just take this opportunity to learn from each other and therefore build a stronger team together. So one of the first key traits that I notice amongst young adults today is that we are generally comfortable with challenging the status quo and breaking tradition at any point in time. But that only happens if we genuinely believe that it does not make any sense. Given that we are living in the digital era where information is practically accessible at the tip of our fingers, I mean, who can deny it that young adults are pretty well versed with research and just generally keeping ourselves updated with the latest news and trends around the world. Not to mention, we all honestly live in such privileged times where social media enables us to instantly connect with our friends, families, or even working professionals whom we have never met before. So helpful career advice or even industry insights are honestly pretty reachable. But of course, I am also conscious that our mental models may not exactly always be the most accurate one, given that we still generally lack the life experience that the older generation is blessed with. Having said that, I can completely understand if such actions are viewed as an act of rebellion, but I'll still like to maintain the faith that young people are doing this because we believe that certain processes can actually be improved for the better. I mean, we want the best for everyone, and all the changes that we are advocating for are hopefully things that we hope can make a really big positive impact in the long run. So this leads me to suggest that if you happen to be a manager with a certain way of doing things, it would be really beneficial if you could just spend a little bit of time to walk us through on why certain things have to be done a certain way and how does this link to the bigger picture. We all love to learn, so I'm pretty sure that we're all pretty open to listening to different points of views because after all, we're regular human beings too. For my second point, I would say that young adults are generally more comfortable and adventurous in trying out new things. And I say this because I personally have been really fortunate to have met many people around my age who are just filled with inspiring aspirations as well as hopeful thinking. Fundamentally, being well versed with the latest technologies has pretty much given us all the opportunities to just experiment with new ideas much more frequently as opposed to any of the other generations before us. For instance, thanks to platforms such as YouTube or Webflow, young people are now given the additional option to just either start their own businesses or even become content creators rather than just simply following the conventional career paths. With that, I suppose it would be fair for me to say that young people nowadays can be an exceptionally creative and entrepreneurial bunch. Perhaps we are also not hampered as much when it comes to thinking about why we shouldn't do things. And that to me is actually a good thing. Because honestly, if we want to make anything a reality, we really gotta dream about it first. Now, for my final point, I would say that young adults nowadays are a pretty steadfast and astute group where we will act for what we believe in. In other words, we would usually try to stay true to our personal values rather than just blindly conforming to the norm. And sometimes this might mean that we would quit that highly lucrative job, voice out on social media, or even invest our personal time and money into those beliefs. I suppose some of the key issues behind this is because many of us has pretty much grew up witnessing a lot of social and political issues such as gender inequality, the looming issues of climate change, or even the need for corporate social responsibility. That, coupled with the power of technology, has pretty much allowed us to become some of the most socially aware generations to date. Hence, or at least for many of my peers, we tend to be very purpose-driven because we are just super keen to make our own positive mark on the world, as well as help to resolve some of the key issues that challenge the previous generations. On that note, if you are someone who is just hoping to engage with young adults, I would say that it is just absolutely imperative for you to just be really conscious about your personal values as well as ethics. And I would say it is also quite important for you to demonstrate your passion for social responsibility. Because trust me, young adults today have a pretty high expectation for that. And I highly doubt it will be easy to convince one to act against their own personal values. So those are basically some of my thoughts on how young adults in our world today think. Again, I would like to just make it clear that this is not an entirely accurate description of how all of us think. What you have just heard is really just a viewpoint from a fellow young adult herself. The real message that I personally really hope for you to take away from this video is that we all should probably consider ditching the age discriminatory labels that are fundamentally used to criticize behavior that's associated with irrational thinking and irresponsibility. Young people are filled with passion. We care about our community, and we also want to be part of something great. And even though I have no intention of preaching that we should all follow the way of young adults, I would still say that there are some merits towards our ways of life that could be worth everyone's consideration too. With that, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you enjoyed it, I would always appreciate if you could just hit the like, subscribe and bell icon. Whether you have been a loyal subscriber or someone who have just stumbled across my YouTube channel, I hope that this video has allowed you to realize that young people, we all love to laugh, we love to get along with everyone, and we just all want to have a great time. In the meantime, if you happen to be interested, I have also made another video on why I believe that reading fiction is a pretty good hobby for you to pick up in your spare time as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe reading more fiction could help you to understand the world through a young adult's lens even better. Well, I am always happy to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Till then, I will see you in my next video. Bye!